Hey, what's going on everybody? The American Food here, and today we are back at it with part 2 of our Animating an Attack with LLibrary tutorial video. In this episode we are going to be actually making an attack with an AI class and doing the animations for it. So first off, let's start off with the code. So what you're going to want to do is make a new package. I put this in the same package as my entity because it makes sense. I'm going to call this package simply AI. Alright, and now what's our first animation? That is the hover animation. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and into our AI, right click, new Java class, and then we're going to do AI hover, just like that. Alright, and then hit OK, and then once it decides to make up its mind and create the class, we'll be good to go. Okay, so what we're going to have this do is extend animation AI, and then we're going to use the generic entity cloud, extends, there we go, and now it's going to be underlined red because we need to implement all of these methods. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a bunch of new variables, so animation, animation, okay, and then protected entity living base attack target for the mob that we're going to be attacking, calling down the lightning upon. Then we're going to use protected entity cloud. Okay, now for our constructor, public AI hover entity cloud animation, and of course for your mob it's probably not going to be cloud as well, so whatever mob you have, that will go there. Okay, we're going to set a super with our cloud. We're going to set mutex bits, and then we're going to set it to 8. And if you see here, this little description here tells you what the mutex bits are for. You can look at that in your own time. And then this dot cloud equals cloud from our constructor. This dot animation equals animation, and this this dot attack target equals, we're going to initialize that to null for now. Okay, now we want to override public, if I can spell, public animation, get animation, there we go, and that is going to return our animation variable. Okay, and now that was the only one I needed, but that is not the only method we need to complete this class, so we're going to keep on going. Override public boolean is automatic. Now this method will tell, I'm going to return true. So basically, if it's an automatic animation, it will be, you can call it and there's no special condition that we need for a trigger. If it's not automatic, that means it will only trigger if something happens. For instance, so this is going to be called by a random chance. It's we're going to randomly cycle through all the animations to call them at specific times. And if it's not automatic, for instance, if it's a death animation, or no, we'll say if you like right click on it, that's not automatic, so it needs to be triggered by something first. So ours is going to be automatic, and pretty much all of them, all the ones I use are automatic. Okay, and then we want to have a public void start executing, just like in a regular AI class. We're going to call super on that. Then we're going to set the current animation in our entity class, so mine is entity cloud again, equals this. So now it knows that, now the cloud entity class knows that the current animation it should play is the one right here. And then attack target, we're going to initialize that, equals cloud.get attack target. Very good. And now we're going to do the beefiest part, which is the update task method. So we're going to call override on that, public void update task. And we're going to call super on that. Okay. And now this is where all the actual code happens. So what the most important part about this is the timing of it all. So here is when I'll call what code to run and when to run it. So if I want to have, so for cloud, I want to have it some time to hover up into the air before it actually does anything. So we'll say we'll give it about how about 10 ticks, so half a second for it to hover up into the sky. Actually, you know what? We'll do 20 ticks, the whole second. So 20 ticks for it to hover up, so that will be handled in the model class. So if cloud.get animation tick, tick equals, so we're going to do, is greater than 20, so after the first second has passed, and the attack target is non-null, does not equal null, then we are going to have it summon down a bunch of lightning upon the player. Okay, so let's see if I can remember how to add a lightning effect. So I believe we need to make a new entity lightning bolt instance. So lightning equals new entity lightning bolt. And what do you take as, you probably take world, position, okay. So we're going to want to do cloud, dot world, and then attack target dot pause x, attack target dot pause y, attack target dot pause z, and false. Okay, and what does effect only in do? That will set it to, that controls the fire. So now world dot add, cloud dot world dot add weather effect lightning. Okay, let's see that. Let's see what that does, and let me go back and check how long this is. 60. We'll change that to 40, so he's only striking with lightning for 1 whole second instead of 2, because 2 could get pretty crazy. Okay, let's go to the model cloud and to our animate. And so what I like to do is just have this nice little thing here that will show me, like, I can split up the animations easier. I can just tell it at a glance what it is, and we'll make it this color. Okay, and so we're going to do hover animation. Great. And now the first thing we want to do is animator dot set animation cloud dot animation underscore hover. Okay, and then animator dot start keyframe. Okay, and so what the start keyframe does is basically how long will the animation take. So how many ticks will the animation that we're about to start take? And so I can have multiple of these if a animation has multiple stages. For instance, the animation where he stands up will have an animation stage where he stands up, an animation stage where he swings his left arm, his right arm, etc., etc. So for this one, it is going to be, I think we said 1 second of him hovering up. Yep, it's greater than 20. So that's how long that's going to take. And then animator dot move body A. What else do you want? And then you want how much to move on the X, Y, and Z. So 0 for X, 1 for Y, or actually let's do 5 for Y, and 0 for Z. And these are floats. So what I always like to do is put the capital F, because even though these are just whole integers, if I do, for instance, animator dot move body A 0.1f 0f 0f, and then if I don't have the f's here, it just doesn't look great and it's not consistent. So that's why I always have the f's even though they're not explicitly needed. Okay, and then animator dot end keyframe, so that's the end of that, and then animator dot set static keyframe 20, so that's how long it's going to remain in place after this part runs. And then I believe animator dot reset keyframe 1. Okay, that's going to reset the animation, reset the model for the next animation. Okay, now let's go back to the entity cloud class and actually get the animation to be called. Okay, great. So let's go into the init entity AI method, which I have, and let's initialize the entity or AI hover class. So tasks. All right, here we go. Tasks dot add task, and the priority is going to be 0 since it's going to be very first priority. New AI hover. This animation underscore hover. Perfect. Now what we're going to do, so now we have initialized it, and now we're actually going to get it to be called. So let's go ahead and set up that switch statement in the onLiving update. So here we go. If our attack target we're gonna have a bunch of checks here, is non-null. So we want to have something for it to attack always. And there is no animation currently playing, so and current animation equals no. And there's a little bit of redundancy here, but just to be sure, get animation, no animation. Yep, that's all spaced out properly. And get animation is not the death animation, since we don't want that to be called randomly. We want that to be called, of course, when it dies. So we're going to set up a switch statement. Switch new random, and so basically, new random dot next int. So what this is going to do is going to set up a switch statement for however many attacks we have. So if you don't know, random starts at 0 and goes to 1. So if I do 1, it'll do 0 and 1. Right now, we're going to want to do 1. So there's going to be a 50-50 chance of it getting called. Okay. Case 0. So if it returns 0, animation handler dot instance dot send message, animation message this, animation underscore hover. So basically this is just sending the message that the animation hover needs to be called. The current animation is hover. Okay, and what I always like to do when I'm testing is put a little printout hover, so that if anything goes wrong, I can see, is the class at least getting called? And if it is, great, then we go back into the animation class and see what's going on there. But I always like to put this just in case. And then we're going to break, and then default break. Okay, great. So I believe that should be all. Let's go ahead and test out our hover animation. Alright everybody, so we are back, and I just had to update my version of Forge to be able to use the version of LLibrary which I'm using. And then if you update a version of Forge, you'll notice that set unlocalized name is no longer a thing. But don't worry, it has been renamed to set translation key. Other than that, everything should work the exact same, and this is for items, by the way. And now we are good to go and test out our Entity Clouds AI hover attack. Let's go ahead and launch the game, and then we'll meet you back once everything is open. Okay, so the game is up, and I'm leaving this not full screen because I want to be able to see anything that appears in the console. So here we go, Cloud. Oops, I must have it on peaceful. Yep. There we go, it is on peaceful. And the boss bar is working, everything's good. Oh, and what I might do is add a layer to his eyes that make him glow. I think that would be very cool. Alright, anyways, let's probably go get some diamond armor, because getting barraged by lightning is not a pleasant thing. And also get some fire resistance. Okay, minute's good. And now, oh, these particles are going to be a bit annoying. Particles, middle. Okay, let's go into survival. And now he's, okay, so so for some reason, if this isn't working, okay, I found it. So I realized that I never actually told the entity that if there's an animation playing, it should update the animation tick, which is really dumb of me to forget. But anyways, here we go. So if get animation, this is what you need to add. Ooh, not GTA. Get animation is not equal to no animation. So if there is an animation currently playing, then we're going to update the animation tick with animation tick plus plus. This will update it up. It'll just constantly increment it by 1. Okay. If world.isRemote, so we're checking which side to run it on, and the animation tick is greater or equal to than the duration of the animation. Okay. Then we're going to set animation, no animation, basically. So it's just some really simple stuff here. If there's an animation playing, update the animation tick. If the animation tick is greater than the duration of animation, so if the animation is finished, then set the animation to nothing. Now we should go back and check, and we might have to relaunch the game. Alright, so we're back in the game, and let's try getting Cloud to attack us again. Yes, alright, that has worked successfully in regards of the actual AI. So the problem is that if you notice, he did not actually fly up. Porque you know attack you again. You should be able to attack me again. What does the matter with you? What does the matter with you, Cloud? Oh my goodness, I am forgetting everything. So what happened was that it was constantly being stuck on the cover animation and was never able to reset because we did not add the reset function. Bear with me as I just put this in real quick. So public void reset task super dot reset task and cloud dot current anim equals null. And this time I realized that I didn't have to restart the game the previous time, but this time, since we're adding a new method instead of just adding some lines of code in a pre-existing method, we do have to restart the game. And so I will be back hopefully for the last time before for the what's it called, the AI stuff, and then we'll be able to check again at the modeling animation stuff. Okay, we are back in the game, and let's get him to attack us. The animation goes up, I get struck by lightning, and everything resets perfectly. Awesome. Now, what I need to do is go back here and let's see why. Oh, it would also make sense if we made Cloud invulnerable to fire, otherwise he could hurt himself. Is immune to fire equals true. Okay, and model Cloud. Now let's see why it is not updating. Maybe it is updating, it's just too small to notice. So what I'm going to do is we're going to change this to 20 and we shall see if you work correctly. Refresh it, and oh, I do not have my fire resistance activated. Okay, there we go, I activated that. Where are you, Cloud? Bah! So he is still not doing that. Oh boy, wow. So the problem was that in the render I had the order messed up. I had the body A render before I had this, and so you want to have your render in this order. You want to have initializing your entity, and then you want and then you want to animate the entity, and then you want to render whatever pieces of your body you have, and then now we can get to the animation. So it should be, for mine, it should be, I'm moving it negative upwards by 5, and yes, this is exactly what I wanted. So Cloud is going to hover upwards, and then after he gets up a little bit in the air, he is going to strike me with lightning just like that. Very, very nice. What if I even do 15? I want to have him get like a decent amount of height so it feels like he's really getting up there. The lightning. The lightning is so annoying. Okay. Good, and I'm gonna disable this lightning just a second for testing the actual animation. So it looks like that's kind of fast. So what I want to do is, this is why I said like it doesn't really matter what values you put here. So I actually decided I want to make this longer because I want to have more time for Cloud to hover up in the air and make it look nice and smooth, as opposed to just like teleporting up there randomly. Okay. And there we go. That looks a lot better. I wonder if we can even do it just a little teeny bit higher. This is coming a long way very quickly, which I'm happy about. Good is coming up to pretty decent height, and then what we want to do is change this to 40 because we have changed the animation in here. And good, and what I even might want to do is add in some particular particles. Let me consider doing that. Let me think about what kind of particles I want to do real quick. Okay, and what I thought of doing is that if animation, get animate, or let's change this to current anim, or no, yeah, it's get anim, get animation is not equal to no animation. We're going to set all of the motion, so motion X equals okay. Now let's see, yes, that worked perfectly. So what that did is, if he's running an animation, then do not have him walk, basically. And now let's go ahead and add in some animation particles. So what I'm going to do is just type in if get animation is equal to animation hover. Okay, if get animation tick is less than 40, so while he's while he's building up the strength to summon down the lightning on us. Great. Okay, so I'm gonna do a for loop here. I equals 0, and we're gonna try with 200 right now. Might be a lot, but we're gonna go for it. I plus plus. Okay. Now we're gonna do the world.spawn particle enum particle types. I believe there even is one for cloud. Perfect. Okay. This pos x plus, and then we're gonna add some variety. Next double minus 0.5d. Okay, very good. And then times, and cast this to double. Okay, this dot width, and that is for the x. What is wrong with you? Okay, it's not mad that the first argument is the particle type, just mad that I haven't finished the method. Understandable, have a nice day. And then next is the y coordinate of the particle, so this dot pos y plus the current I divided by 50. Okay, this dot pos z, and this is just going to be pretty much the same as the x value. This dot pos z plus this dot rand dot next double minus 0.5d times the cast this to double, this dot width. Okay, and I'm going to break this down so it is legible for the whole screen. 0, 1, and 0, closing parentheses. And what did I mess up here? Oh, you don't go there. Perfect. Okay, so the x speed and z speed is not going to be anything, but the y speed, no, y speed will be 0 as well. Okay. Now let's see what that looks like in the game. Oh my goodness, you'll have to forgive me. I realized the problem is I had turned my particles off. Wow, I'm a little bit sick, so that's probably why I'm not thinking clearly, but oh boy, that's something, alright. So now we got the particles spawning, so what we want to do is have them update their position as Cloud is updating his position. So let's go ahead and add in a new variable, int float update equals 0. Okay, and then float update plus plus, and actually we're going to make this a double, and float update is going to increase by, yeah, sure. Okay, plus float update, and let's see how that works for us. I don't know why it's doing these little layers. Oh, I do know why it's doing these layers, because of the plus I. If I delete that and only have it add with the float update. So it looks like that is not going very high at all. So let's change this to 1. Just a solid 1. Alright, I got it pretty much perfect. So what I did is I changed it to change the particles to only spawn up to animation tick 35, and then I added it plus the animation tick divided by 7.5. Now I get this really nice and smooth particles of clouds that accompany Cloud as he floats up majestically into the sky. Very nicely looking here. And then if I go back here and re-add in the animation code that will actually spawn the lightning. Alright, look at that. That is looking very good. So he will hover up in the air, strike you with lightning, and I need to change this to, I want to do it a little bit sooner, because I think that if I go back here, yeah, there's a little bit of lag time between him reaching peak height and him actually striking the lightning. That is perfect. So that is the cloud animation finished, and that is how you add in an animated entity with animated attacks using LLibrary. Now, if you wanted to do something more complex, like say you wanted to have the model class do something besides just moving up, and instead you wanted to have it actually, you know, like move its limbs and stuff, what you do instead is use the animator.rotate methods. And here's an example of some stuff I have for my Dark Opal Demon. And as you see, animator.rotate, which part you want to do, and the amount of rotation per part. And obviously these are red because these aren't parts of the cloud model, but it's pretty much similar to the move, except it's rotating something instead of moving it. And if you want to find value, you just gotta mess around with them a lot until you find something that suits your needs. Alright, so that about wraps up this video and the second and last part of the tutorial on animating an entity with LLibrary. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, definitely remember to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. We'll see you all next time. Peace out.